So you can see that using the dark background helped me get a much more dramatic effect. And this is a more muted, sort of hazy look to it. I've got my hill here, and I know that you're going to say to yourself, well, hang on, she's put the shadows all on this side. Why has she got sunlit here? Because I'm going to have trees with shadows down here, so this will be darker and that will be lighter where the shadows of the trees aren't fitting. Now I need to put the sky in, so again I'm going to take deeper blue, just start off with that, running it in right up to the hills in the background. And if it slodges over a bit, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to be... Now at this stage I'm just going to give it a... This is the only time I'm going to smooth. I'm going to take the side of my finger, just give it a little bit of smooth in. I don't want to get rid of all that warm colour in the background because I quite like it, but I want to get rid of some of it, so I'm just going to smooth the blue a bit into the sanded paper. Okay, now I'm just going to keep going over with paler and paler blues. Oops. Just using the side of my pastel again, you can see how I've worn them into flat shapes, those round pastels. I'm going to add in some much paler colours down towards the base, a few purpley colours, bluer colours, and I'm just going to go back in up the top with a little bit darker blue. And that's a basic sky. It's got a little bit of variety in it, so that's nice. The other thing I want to do is take a very pale yellowy colour and add a little bit of a glow down here along the line there. And that's really nice in your skies to give that light effect in the distance, but I want to knock it back a little bit. I don't want it to be quite so yellow, so I put it in and then I go over it with the paler blues. I just want to have a little bit of, I'm actually even going to put some pink in there as well. And now I have a sensation back here of colour and light and bounce in my sky, which is what I want. This is just a simple sky. I'm not going for well-formed clouds. I'm just going for the suggestion of sky, a hazy sort of sky there. What I want to do now is just go back in and give my distant hills a bit more of a delineation, because I lost that a bit. And to make them, you can just sort of rub your finger, and I said I wasn't going to do anymore, but just rub your finger along the top of the hill so it blends a little bit with the sky, which will give you a sense of distance. I need to go back in and just reconfigure those shadows that I had in. And just getting those how I want them. I'm trying to remember that if these are just hills and not mountains, they're going to be round rather than pointy, so don't make them too pointy. And I don't want them to sort of stand out too much from the sky, because that'll give me a greater sense of distance. So there I have them in the distance. I also want to put in some fields back here, and I'm putting them in with the gold colours, but not as light and bright as the foreground. I want them to recede back a bit, so I'll probably even put a little bit of a, make them a bit greenier, bluer as they go back. And then I'll have just a shaft of sun on one patch. You want to give a little sense of the light playing over the landscape, so I'm just making one area much lighter than the other and the rest of it. So back it comes, and then I think what I'll do is put another small hill here. So the sun is going that way, so my hill is coming down like this, so it's going to have the sun really hitting it there. So let's make that nice and bright. And then down to there. So we've got some layers now suggesting distance. I'm just going to pop in a little bit of shadowed area here using to separate it, that hill from this one here. Give that a little bit of a change it up a bit, and I'm going to put in some variations in the grasses there. I need to put the trees in now, so I've got a little bit of distance going on there. I've got some layers of hills going on, and I need some trees. So let's start back in the background here. I'm just going to put a few trees, just some suggestions of trees. Here on this hill. And we've got in the darks, and now I'm just going to put in some lighter bits. The sun's coming from this side, so the lights will be all on this side of the trees. A little bit of the orangey red. There's a few suggestions of trees in the background, so I need to put in their little trunks. So let's, and you know, this time I'm going to use some darker colours for the trunks, just because I want them to stand out a bit more, and they're a bit further away, so I'll just use a darker grey than I was using earlier. And basically it's just some strokes there. And I need to put a few shadows there, but the shadows are all going backwards, so it's really going to be shadows underneath the trees running up the hill that way. I'm just putting in some more. I wasn't really happy with that. Just making them a bit darker and a bit more gum-like, so just going back in again now with some just touches of gold where the sun's shining on them. I'm going to put a little bit of very dark on the trunks in the background, because they're in shadow. Okay, so there's my background. Now I need some trees up here. And just to help establish, I'm going to have a tree here and put some branches out like that. And so again, you see I'm just squiggling those in any old way at this point, but making my base a bit thicker than the others. And then I'll have some more going back here. And the tree trunks are all going to be, some going up here right in the background, further back up the hill. And then I'm just going to work my way around there. Before I do anything, I'm just going to put in the shadows here. So here we got them all coming down there. In the background there we've got some as well. I'm making these fairly long shadows, and it gives you an opportunity when you've got long shadows to play up the trunks a little bit. So in the front of those trunks some little shadows in too, because that part of them is in shadow. So let's add a little bit of shadow in up the tree trunks. But not all of it, because sometimes the sun will catch a little bit more than other times. Okay, so now I've got the trunks in and now I'm going to put in the foliage. So again, I'm going in with dark, and this is the shadow side. So here's just the suggestion of the shape of the gum tree canopies, and they're all going to be sort of intertwined. It's going to be hard to see which gum tree is which, but that's okay. And now I'm going to put in a few purples in that too, just for a bit of variety. And I'm just jabbing those colours in, some deeper colours, just a few of these deeper reds. Now I just want to, on this side, show how the sun is catching some of those leaves, because this is the sunny side. So we'll just put in some sunshine on those leaves. And we'll do that with a number of colours. I've got the little orangey colour, we'll pop some of those into. And as I get out to the edge of these, I put a few individual leaves. Mostly it's just a suggestion of masses of leaves, but as you get out to the edge you need to put in more. And this will take you some time. You'll want to actually get a whole sense of light and play going in. I go back into the shadow side and I add a few bits of shadow through the lighter area, just for individual leaves that are being caught in the shadow. I'm doing that with purple. It plays off really well against the gold that I've got in here. And that'll just give the trees a little bit more three-dimensionality. Again, out here in the shadowed side, I add in some individual leaves. not many, just a few. And I'll just keep doing that, so I'll add in a few more paler blues on the shadowed side as well, because eucalypts are quite blue. And the blues and the yellows sort of optically mix and give you some greens as well. So it's coming along. You can see I'm getting a bit of varied colour in there. When it comes to adding the very light colours, spots of sunlight, you don't want too many of them for the very lightest. Just a few of them here and there, not too many. The shadows there on the trunks. I want to add in some richer, redder colours into here as well. For some of the foreground grasses. And now I'm going to add in a few foreground grasses. So these grasses have just been flat strokes with the side of the brush, with the side of the pastel. But what I want to do is add in some more linear marks here, just to mix it up a bit. And even add some further back there. And I'll just keep popping in some different colours. I'm putting in a bit of orange here, just for... But you've got to remember too that you're going to have a darker side of these, so get in some of your darker colours as well. You may even want to pop in a little purple there and in amongst it. I'm going to put in some little shadows coming down off them too. In the shadowed side of them. So I've added a little bit of foreground into there too. This I'm not very happy with. It's just too... Just wanted it to be a little bit more of a suggestion of some shadows from the other hill there. So now I'll run my gold back down into it. That edge there, so just looking for something that will So there, we've taken the elements we had before and we've rearranged them. We've added in rolling hills to give distance. Let's just, I don't like that. We've suggested some planes, and then we've blued it all off as we've gone back so that we're getting more of a feeling of distance. So you can see that using the dark background helped me get a much more dramatic effect. And this is a more muted, sort of hazy look to it. Both have their merits. And it just teaches you that you can take the same elements, rearrange them, and make a different painting using a different background and just the same elements in different ways. I didn't find it contrasty enough there, so I've gone back in with a much lighter pastel, and I've just added in some brighter highlights on the sunlit side of the tree trunks, and that has really ramped it up a bit. The other thing I think I might do is put in some darker ones in the foreground again. Just make those much darker. Rearranging the elements can give you a different painting altogether. The trees are larger in the foreground, they're lighter and brighter, they're not so dark and dramatic as the other ones. I've put some more detail in the foreground here with some individual grasses, and then there's just all the suggestion of grasses back here and the rolling hills, which roll back to give you the hills in the distance and that graded sky just to give you a sense of distance, and I think that gives you a nice hazy feel. So thanks for joining me in the studio today. Hope you enjoyed yourself, and I'll see you when we paint next. Bye for now.